Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep. We're taking a plunge into Greek mythology today.
Always a good day for that.
Right. But with a twist. We're getting up close and personal with Poseidon.
Oh, interesting. Not just the god of the seas, then.
Exactly. This is about the god behind the myth. This is about his secret battle, which is what we're exploring today.
Intriguing title. What's the source material?
It's excerpts from a book, actually, called Poseidon's Secret Battle. And let me tell you, it really digs into his inner world, his thoughts, motivations, regrets, stuff you rarely see in the usual myths.
That's what makes these deep dives so fascinating, uncovering new layers to these stories we think we know.
Exactly. Like we've all heard about Poseidon, god of the sea, right?
Yeah.
Trident, earthquakes, the whole deal. But in this book, his underwater kingdom, it's almost like a gilded cage, not a majestic palace.
Ah, I see. So we're exploring the idea of Poseidon feeling trapped, maybe, even with all that power.
Exactly. It's like his domain, as impressive as it is, feels like a prison compared to, say, Zeus up on Mount Olympus. The book actually uses that word prison, which I thought was really powerful.
Right. And that makes sense, given the whole Olympian power structure. Zeus, as king of the gods, sits at the top. So naturally, someone as ambitious as Poseidon would crave that recognition, that validation from his peers.
It's almost like thousands of years later, and that need for validation, it still resonates, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a fundamental human, well, God in this case, desire. But it makes you wonder how much of our own drive or ambitions stem from that same primal need to prove ourselves, even if it ends up hurting us in the long run.
It's a good point. So we're talking about a god who, on the surface, has it all power, immortality, controls the seas. But it's still not enough. He's fixated on Zeus's approval.
It's more than just sibling rivalry, though, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's deeper than that. It's about Poseidon's whole worldview, right?
Exactly. He was convinced that his rule, not Zeus's, would bring balance to the universe. He saw himself as this force for harmony, this architect of natural order.
Fascinating contradiction, isn't it? This hunger for power, yet this inherent belief in his ability to create harmony.
And that's what makes Poseidon's secret battle so compelling. He's not just some one-dimensional deity driven by ego. He's nuanced, flawed. He's struggling to figure out his place in the grand scheme of things. And that, I think, is something we can all relate to, even today.
You know what gets me about this book? It's how they show Poseidon's thoughtful side. Like really introspective. You wouldn't think the god of earthquakes is also the god of deep thoughts, right?
Right. It's not usually how we picture him, all storms and fury. But Poseidon's secret battle really gets under the surface. There's this passage, so well written, comparing the ocean to the human soul.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
It talks about how it can be calm and serene one moment, then totally wild and unpredictable the next.
And Poseidon's caught in the middle of that, isn't he?
Exactly. He can't quite figure out, does he control the ocean or does it control him? That question really eats at him.
Which is fascinating when you think about it. This is a god we're talking about with unimaginable power. But even he can't fully tame the ocean, just like he can't force Zeus to respect him.
It's like that Stoic philosophy idea, finding peace by accepting what you can't control. Poseidon just can't seem to do either.
Makes him much more relatable, honestly.
Yeah.
We've all felt that way, even if it's not about literal oceans. Right?
Oh, absolutely. And the book really drives that home when it gets to Poseidon's biggest regret. It's not losing to Zeus or any epic battle.
Okay, now you have to tell me, what is it then?
It's this realization he has that chasing power all the time, it actually blinded him to something far more important.
Which is?
Harmony. True, genuine harmony.
You mean like peace within himself, not just in the world around him?
Both, actually. The book talks about how he looks back on his interactions with mortals, with sailors, and he wishes he'd been known as a protector, someone who guided them, kept them safe, not just this unpredictable force to be feared.
It's like he has FOMO, but on a divine scale. Fear of missing out on a different path he could have taken.
It's tragic, in a way, that desire for power, even with good intentions, it can twist things. Makes you think about how often we chase external validation instead of the things that really fulfill us.
It's amazing, really. This whole secret battle of Poseidon's makes you see him in a whole new light.
It really does. It's like we often forget these mythological figures, they weren't just these static characters, they had their own journeys, internal struggles. This book really brought that home for Poseidon.
Yeah, exactly. You start to wonder how many other stories we've missed,
Sure.
focusing only on the big, epic stuff, the surface level.
Right. Like, we assumed we knew Poseidon, god of the seas, powerful, tempestuous. But his real battle, it wasn't against the Titans, or even Zeus for that matter. It was all happening within himself.
And that's what makes it universal, that need to control things, even when we know we can't. It's something we all deal with.
The book actually ends on this really powerful image Poseidon standing at the edge of the ocean, and he just whispers, "Control is an illusion."
Wow.
He goes on to say, "The tides will always rise and fall, but in accepting that, I am free."
Man, that's really simple. There's so much wisdom in that simple statement. Like, we think fighting for control gives us freedom, but it's often letting go that truly liberates us.
Exactly. And it's not just about oceans or even some grand cosmic scale. It's about our own lives, our relationships, our goals, even just our own thoughts sometimes. Where are we clinging too tightly, trying to force things that we can't actually control?
Gives you a lot to think about, that's for sure.
It really does. Like Poseidon, maybe we all need to find our own version of peace in the midst of the storm. It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Well said. Well, this deep dive certainly gave us a lot to unpack.
It certainly did. There's always more to discover, even with these ancient myths.
That's so true. All right, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning. And remember, even gods have their struggles.